Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. सर्वशास्त्रार्थी पीयूष सर्ववेदैक सत्फल सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नांश सर्वलोकैक तत्पद सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद्भागवत प्रभो प्रणिध्वांतोदितादित्य श्री कृष्ण परिवर्तित परमानंद पाठाय प्रेमवशराय ते सर्वदा सर्वसेव्या श्री कृष्णाय नमस्तुमे मतेक बंधो मत्संगिन मद्गुरो मन्महाधर्म मन्निष्ठानिक मद्भाग्यमदानंद नमोस्तुते साधु साधिकाराय नतिमिच्योक्षताकर आनंद च कदाचित् मां करना हितंकयोस्पुर ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. Okay, today 1.17.4 to 1.17.18. पप्रच्छ रथमारूढ़ कार्तस्वर परिच्छदम मेघ गंभीर या वाचा समारोपित कार्मुकः. Maharaj Parikshit, well equipped with arrows and bow, and seated on a gold embossed chariot, spoke to him, the Shudra, with a deep voice, resounding like thunder. He was well equipped with arrows and bow. Samaropiteti kalehe palayana ashankaya. Because he was apprehensive that Kali would try to run away. Therefore, he had arrows and bow. An administrative head or king like Maharaj Parikshit, with full majestic authority, well equipped with weapons to chastise miscreants, can challenge the agents of the age of Kali. Then only will it be possible to counteract the degraded age. And in the absence of such strong executive heads, there is always disruption of tranquility. The elected show bottle executive head, as representative of a degraded public, cannot be equal with a strong king like Maharaj Parikshit. The dress or style of royal order does not count. It is one's actions which are counted. 5. Kastom machane loke बलाधंस्य बलान बली नरदेवो शिवेशेन नटवत् कर्वणाद्विजः. Oh, who are you? You appear to be strong, and yet you dare to kill within my protection those who are helpless. By your dress, you pose yourself to be a man god, king, but by your deeds, you are opposing the principles of the twice-born Kshatriyas. You appear to be strong, and yet you try to kill someone who is in a helpless position. Then he anticipates that Kali would respond, Rajaham, I'm a king. But then he says, no, you are just a king in dress. But by activity, you are an Advija. There is something called Advija. Advija is one who is not a Trivarnika, a Shudra. First of all, you have a Dharmika and a Dharmika. Amongst the Dharmikas, you have the Dvijas and Advija. Here, Dvija also specifically means Dvija Virodhi. Not only is he an ordinary Shudra, Shudra is supposed to be submissive to the Dvijas. But here is a person who is opposing the Dvijas. He's been compared to a theatrical player. Natavat. Nato hi anukaryasya karma abhinayati iti bhava. Because a theatrical player, he acts out a particular action. The Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas are called twice born because of their higher classes of men. Because for these higher classes of men, there is one birth by parental conjugation, and there's another birth of cultural rejuvenation by spiritual initiation from the bona fide acharya or spiritual master. The Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, they accept brahmacharya in an ashrama, in the Guru's ashrama, actually, the acharya's ashrama. So they live as brahmacharis, at least for some period of time. So a Kshatriya is also twice born, like a Brahmana, and his duty is to give protection to the helpless. The Kshatriya king is considered to be a man god or representative of God, giving protection to the helpless and chastising the miscreants, meaning, and for chastising the miscreants. Whenever there are anomalies in this routine world by the administrators, there is an incarnation of the Lord to re-establish the principles of a godly kingdom. In the age of Kali, the poor, helpless animals, especially the cows, which are meant to receive all sorts of protection from the administrative heads, are killed without restriction. Thus, the administrative heads, under whose noses such things happen, are representatives of God in name only. Such powerful administrators are rulers of the poor citizens by dress or office, but factually they are worthless, lower class men without the cultural assets of the twice born. No one can expect justice or equality of treatment from once born, spiritually uncultured lower class men. Therefore, in the age of Kali, everyone is unhappy due to the maladministration of the state. The leaders of modern human society are not twice born by spiritual culture. Therefore, the people's government, administered by people who are not twice born, must be a government of Kali, in which everyone is unhappy. 6. Yastvam Krishne Gate Duram Saha Gandiva Dhanvana Chotyosya Shotyan Rahasi Praharani Vatamathasi. You rogue, do you dare beat an innocent cow because Lord Krishna and Arjuna, the carrier of the Gandiva bow, are out of sight? Since you're beating the innocent in a secluded place, you're considered a culprit and therefore deserve to be killed. Rotyahasi. You are a culprit. Atahavathamarasi. Therefore, you deserve to be killed. Notice this capital punishment, straight on the spot. In today's world, they think that they have some expression, remember. Justice delayed is an expression.
Justice delayed is justice denied.
Correct. Justice delayed is justice denied. Justice delayed is justice denied. So the idea is that you cannot, that too in a place like India, it's outrageous. No? Some cases go on for 5 years, 10 years. It's completely crazy. It is. But previously, it was not like that. Under certain circumstances, they would take up the matter immediately. In the Dharma Shastras and Artha Shastras also, there are methods of how to do trials, legal trials. But even that doesn't appear to be dragging on for so many years and all that. It doesn't seem to be the case at all. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. Nanu yatha tvam deshasya raja tathaiva ahamapi samprati kalasya rajeti mayi tava vikramo na bhavishyati ityata aha yaswamiti. If Kali were to tell him, just as you are the king of this land, I am currently the king of this time. So your power cannot be applied on me. Then in response to that, King Parikshit speaks this. Idea is that Kali is hiding himself in the absence of Lord Krishna and Arjuna. Even though Kali may not be um, posing himself as such. In a civilization where God is conspicuously banished, and there's no devotee warrior like Arjuna, the associates of the age of Kali take advantage of this lawless kingdom and arrange to kill innocent animals like the cow in secluded slaughterhouses. Such murderers of animals stand to be condemned to death by the order of a pious king like Maharaj Parikshit. For a pious king, the culprit who kills an animal in a secluded place is punishable by the death penalty, exactly like a murderer who kills an innocent child in a secluded place. 7. Tvamva mrinala kavala adenyuna padacharan Vrisharupena kam kaschid devona parikhedayan. Then he, that is Maharaj Parikshit, asked the bull, "Oh, who are you? Are you a bull as white as a white lotus, or are you a demigod? You have lost 3 of your legs and are moving on only one. Are you some demigod in the form of a bull who are causing us to grieve?" Vrisham Pratya, this is spoken to the bull. Bhavatu Kshanam tava pratamam paradham vimrashami iti manasi kritva Vrisham Pratya. Parikshit Maharaj was had in his mind, all right, whatever may be the situation, for a moment, let me first of all think about your offense. And he turns to the bull and speaks to the bull. Naha asman khedetum kim kaschid devosi. Are you a deva who has assumed this form just to make us grieve? I have not seen such a lean bull in distress, even in my dream. At least up to the time of Maharaj Parikshit, no one could imagine the wretched conditions of the cow and the bull. Maharaj Parikshit therefore was astonished to see such a horrible scene. He inquired whether the bull was not a demigod, a human, such a wretched condition, to indicate the future of the cow and the bull. Jahatu Kauravendranam Dordanta Pariramphite Bhutale no Patantyasmin Vinate Praninam Shuchaha. Now, for the first time in a kingdom well protected by the arms of the kings of the Kuru dynasty, I see you grieving with tears in your eyes. Up till now, no one on earth has ever shed tears because of royal negligence. Vayeva Rajani Sati Vayam evam Dukhinaha Sampratam Sam Abhumeti Chet Tatraha Sanutapum Sartopam Chaha Najatu Iti. If the bull were to say that while you are the king, we have still become so disposed, despite you being the king. In anticipation to, he anticipates that the bull might be thinking like that. So then, both with sympathy and with anger, he speaks this. Protection of the lives of both the human beings and the animals is the first and foremost duty of a government. A government must not discriminate in such principles. It is simply horrible for a pure-hearted soul to see organized animal killing by the state in this age of Kali. Maharaj Parikshit was lamenting for the tears in the eyes of the bull, and he was astonished to see such an unprecedented thing in his good kingdom. Men and animals were equally protected as far as life was concerned. That is the way in God's kingdom. Were slaughterhouses, were organized slaughterhouses in place in India after India's independence? The Prabhupada seems to indicate that. 9. Ma saurabheyatra shucho yetu te vishlad bhayam marodi ramba bhadrante khalana mai shastari. O son of Surabhi, you need lament no longer now. There is no need to fear this low-class Shudra. And O mother cow, as long as I am living as the ruler and subduer of all envious men, there is no cause for you to cry. Everything will be good for you. Again he says, don't cry. Don't lament anymore. Then he turns towards the cow. Something false about this whole thing. Thinking like this, he says, why are you lamenting? Because he has understood that this is representative. Protection of bulls and cows and all other animals can be possible only when there is a state ruled by an executive head like Maharaj Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit addresses the cow as mother, for he is a cultured, wise-born Kshatriya king. Surabhi, let's see, yeah. Amba, mother. Surabhi is the name of the cows which exist in the spiritual planets and are especially revered by Lord Sri Krishna himself. As men are made after the form and features of the Supreme Lord, so also the cows are made after the form and features of the Surabhi cows in the spiritual kingdom. In the material world, the human society gives all protection to the human being, but there is no law to protect the descendants of Surabhi, which can give all protection to men by supplying the miracle food, milk. But Maharaj Parikshit and the Pandavas were fully conscious of the importance of the cow and bull, and they were prepared to punish the cow killer with all punishment, with all chastisement, including death. One thing is clear, that we consider the topmost portion of the kingdom of God to be Goloka, the land of the cows, the world of the cow. Cows are given so much importance. There has sometimes been agitation for the protection of the cow, but for want of pious executive heads and suitable laws, the cow and the bull are not given protection. The human society should recognize the importance of the cow and the bull, and thus give all protection to these important animals, following in the footsteps of Maharaj Parikshit. For protecting the cows and Brahmanical culture, the Lord, who is very kind to the cows and the Brahmanas, Go Brahmana Hitaya, will be pleased with us and will bestow upon us real peace. 10 and 11. Yasya Rashtre Praja Sarvas Trasyante Sadhya Sadhubihi Tasya Mattasya Nashyanti Kirti Rayur Bhago Gatihi Esharagyam Parodharmo Hyartana Mati Nigraha Ata Enam Vadishyami Bhuta Druhana Sattama. Chaste one. The king's good name, duration of life, and good rebirth vanish when all kinds of living beings are terrified by miscreants in his kingdom. It is certainly the prime duty of the king to subdue first the sufferings of those who suffer. Therefore, I must kill this most wretched man because he is violent against other living beings. मध्यथार्थमेनम मध्यथार्थमेन eva enam hanishyami. I will kill this person for my good, not exactly for your benefit. With this in mind, he speaks texts 10 and 11, two verses. Because if I don't take action, then I will have to lose several pious credits. I will lose my good name. I will lose the duration of my life. I will lose a good rebirth. Don't think that both of you will be held co-responsible for his death. I alone take the responsibility, and that too for myself. Nachatra Srimad Anurodha. There's nothing from your side that is causing me to do this. You're not at fault. When there is some disturbance caused by wild animals in a village or town, the police or others take action to kill them. Similarly, it is the duty of the government to kill at once bad social elements such as thieves, dacoits, and murderers. The same punishment is also due to animal killers because the animals of the state are also the praja. Praja means one who has taken birth in the state, and this includes both men and animals. Any living being who takes birth in a state has a primary right to live under the protection of the king. The jungle animals are also subject to the king, and they also have a right to live. So what to speak of domestic animals like the cows and bulls? Any living being, if it terrifies other living beings, is a most wretched subject. Wretched or subject. And the king should at once kill such a disturbing element. These principles are not being followed in today's world, and therefore crime flourishes. As the wild animal is killed when it creates disturbances, similarly, any man who unnecessarily kills or terrifies the jungle animals or other animals must be punished at once. By the law of the Supreme Lord, all living beings in whatever shape they may be are the sons of the Lord, and no one has any right to kill another animal unless it is so ordered by the codes of natural law. The tiger can kill a lower animal for his subsistence, but a man cannot kill an animal for his subsistence. That is the law of God, who has created the law that a living being subsists by eating another living being. Thus, the vegetarians are also living by eating other living beings. Therefore, the law is that one should live only by eating specific living beings as ordained by the law of God. The Ishopanishad directs that one should live by the direction of the Lord and not at one's sweet will. A man can subsist on varieties of grains, fruits, and milk ordained by God. And there is no need of animal food, save and except in particular cases. The illusioned king or executive head, even though sometimes advertised as a great philosopher and learned scholar, will allow slaughterhouses in the state without knowing that torturing poor animals clears the way to hell for such a foolish king or executive head. The executive head must always be alert to the safety of the prajas, both man and animal, and inquire whether a particular living being is harassed at any place by another living being. The harassing living being must at once be caught and put to death as shown by Maharaj Parikshit. The people's government or government by the people should not allow killing of innocent animals by the sweet will of foolish government men. Now in Christianity, they have this concept that God gave this world for human beings to gave this world as the dominion of human beings. He has been appointed as something like the king of all the living species. Bhakti-vaibhava Thakur has pointed out that even in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a statement to that effect, that the human species is considered the king of the other species of life. But that is simply because he's optimally fit for spiritual realization, not so that he can exploit. The Christians often use this as their argument that the animals are meant to be food for human beings because they are meant to be under their dominion. But that is not the idea. The idea is that they're meant, that mankind is meant to be the protector of other living beings. The people's government or government by the people should not allow killing of innocent animals by the sweet will of foolish government. They must know the codes of God as mentioned in the revealed scriptures. Maharaj Parikshit quotes here that according to the codes of God, the irresponsible king or state executive jeopardizes his good name, duration of life, power, and strength, and ultimately his progressive march towards a better life and salvation after death. Such foolish men do not even believe in the existence of a next life. While commenting on this particular words, we have in our presence a statement of a great modern politician who has recently died and left his will, which discloses his poor fund of knowledge of the codes of God mentioned by Maharaj Parikshit. The politician was so ignorant of the codes of God that he writes, I do not believe in any such ceremonies. This is, as far as I understand it, refers to Nehru. And this is a reference to funeral ceremonies. I do not believe in any such ceremonies, and to submit to them even as a matter of form would be hypocrisy and an attempt to delude ourselves and others. So he did not want even funeral ceremonies. I have no religious sentiment in the matter. Contrasting these statements of a great politician in the modern age with those of Maharaj Parikshit, we find a vast difference. Maharaj Parikshit was pious according to the scriptural codes, whereas a modern politician goes by his personal belief and sentiment. Any great man of the material world is, after all, a conditioned soul. He is bound by his hands and feet by the ropes of material nature, and still the foolish conditioned soul thinks of himself as free to act by his whimsical sentiments. The conclusion is that in the time of Maharaj Parikshit, people were happy and the animals were given proper protection because the executive head was not whimsical or ignorant of God's law. Foolish, faithless creatures try to avoid the existence of the Lord and proclaim themselves secular at the cost of valuable human life. The human life is especially meant for knowing the signs of God, but foolish creatures, especially in this age of Kali, instead of knowing God scientifically, make propaganda against religious belief, as well as the existence of God, even though they are always bound by the laws of God, by the symptoms of birth, death, old age, and disease. Well, O vrishchat tava padam strin saurabheya chatushpada mahum spadasha rashtre ragyam krishnanu He, that is Maharaj Parikshit, repeatedly addressed and questioned the bull thus, O son of Surabhi, who has cut off your three legs? In the state of the kings who are obedient to the laws of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, there is no one as unhappy as you. Unarapi shochantam vrisham pratyaha. Then he again speaks to the bull who continued to lament. The kings, according to Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan, he's asking, who has done this to you, to a four-legged creature like you, and made you distressed? The kings or the executive heads of all states must know the codes of Lord Krishna, generally Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and must act accordingly in order to fulfill the mission of human life, which is to make an end to all miseries of material conditions. One who knows the codes of Lord Krishna can achieve this end without any difficulty. In the Bhagavad Gita, we can understand the codes of Godhead in a synopsis, and in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the same codes are explained further. In a state where the codes of Krishna are followed, no one is unhappy. Where such codes are not followed, the first sign is that three legs of the representative of religion are cut off, and thereby all miseries follow. When Krishna was personally present, the codes of Krishna were being followed without question. But in his absence, such codes are presented in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam for the guidance of the blind persons who happen to be at the helm of all affairs. 15. Akhyahi Vishabhadram va sadhunam akritagasam atmavairubhya kartaram parthanam kirti dushanam. O bull, you are offenseless and thoroughly honest. Therefore, I wish all good to you. Please tell me, who is the perpetrator of this mutilation, of all these injuries upon me, which blacken the reputation of the sons of Vritha? According to Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, the king was thinking, Kintu tavu mukhat kinchit sutva eva enam vadishyami. I'll hear something from your mouth, and then I'll kill him. Nanu mama kimapi vivakshitam nasti iti tatraha hevrisham. And if the bull were to be thinking, no, I have nothing to tell you, then he says this. Vaha Vishmakam Sadhunam Niraparadhanam Bhadram Sukhepi Dukhepi Sada Bhadramaya. Saintly persons like you, innocent persons like you, are in an auspicious state, both in happiness and in distress. Into Asmakam Parthanam Kirtim Dusheti Yas Tamakhyami. But tell us about this person. Tell us about the person who has given you, who has cut your legs off. Because that person is destroying the reputation of us, the sons of the descendants of the Parthas. The reputations of the reign of Maharaj Ramachandra and of the reigns of the kings who followed in the footsteps of Maharaj Ramachandra, like the Pandavas and their descendants, are never to be forgotten. Because in their kingdoms, offenseless and honest living beings were never in trouble. The bull and the cow are the symbols of the most offenseless living beings, because even the stool and urine of these animals are utilized to benefit human society. The descendants of the sons of Pritha, like Maharaj Parikshit, were afraid of losing their reputations. But in the modern days, the leaders are not even afraid of killing such offenseless animals. Herein lies the difference between the reign of those pious kings and the modern states ruled by irresponsible executive heads without knowledge of the codes of God. 14. Jane nagas yakham yunjan sarvatosya chamadbhayam sadhunam bhadrameva syat asadhu damane krite. Whoever causes offenseless living beings to suffer must fear me anywhere and everywhere in the world. By curbing dishonest miscreants, one automatically benefits the offenseless. The bull should not think that if he says something, he identifies the perpetrator, he will be put in danger. Rather, even if he doesn't say that, everybody will have to face this danger. The danger is that Parikshit Maharaj will curb all dishonest miscreants. It is very, very important that bona fide kings will act and behave in such a manner that miscreants are frightened. It is very important. That is very, very important, because otherwise these miscreants cannot be kept under control. Dishonest miscreants flourish because of cowardly and impotent executive heads of state. Two different things. One is this executive head of state must not be cowardly and he must not be impotent. Impotent in the sense that must be strong. Strong means he should be capable of rewarding those who do good and punishing those who do bad. But when the executive heads are strong enough to curb all sorts of dishonest miscreants in any part of the state, certainly they cannot flourish. When the miscreants are punished in an exemplary manner, automatically all good fortune follows. As said before, it is the prime duty of the king or the executive head to give protection in all respects to the peaceful, offenseless citizens of the state. The devotees of the Lord are by nature peaceful and offenseless. Therefore, it is the prime duty of the state to arrange to convert everyone to become a devotee of the Lord. Thus, automatically, all the citizens will be peaceful and offenseless. Then the only duty of the king will be to curb the dishonest miscreants. That will bring about peace and harmony all over human society. 15. Anagasviha bhuteshu ahartasmi bhujam sakshat amritasyapi sangaram. No. Anagasviha bhuteshu ya agaskrim nirankushah ahartasmi bhujam sakshat amritasyapi sangaram. Any upstart living being who commits offenses by torturing those who are offenseless will be directly uprooted by me, even though he be a denizen of heaven with armor and decoration. Parikshit had the ability to do things like this. Etasya dande ham asamartha iti ma ashanki. Don't be apprehensive that I'm incapable of punishing this person. Devasura naradishu matulyaha balishtaha prabhavi va kopi nasti iti bhavaha. He implies that amongst the devas, asuras, human beings, and so on, there is no one equal to me in strength or impact. The denizens of the heavenly kingdom are called amara or deathless due to their possessing a long span of life, far greater than that of human beings. For a human being who has only a maximum 100-year duration of life, a span of life spreading over hundreds of millions of years is certainly considered to be deathless. For example, from the Bhagavad Gita, we learn that on the Brahmaloka planet, the duration of one day is calculated to be, what is this, 1,000 million, 4,300,000 times 1,000 solar years. Similarly, in other heavenly planets, one day is calculated to be 6 months of this planet, and the inhabitants get a life of 100 million of their years. Therefore, in all higher planets, since the span of life is far greater than that of the human being, the denizens are called deathless by imagination. So it is a metaphorical description when you hear that the citizens of Swarga are Amara. Although actually no one within the material universes is deathless. Maharaj Parikshit challenges even such denizens of heaven if they torture the offenseless. This means that the state executive head must be as strong as Maharaj Parikshit so that he may be determined to punish the strongest offenders. It should be the principle of a state executive head that the offender of the codes of God is always punished. 16. Ragyo hi parmo dharma swadharma stha anupalanam shasaton nyan yatha shastram anapadyu pathanit iha. The supreme duty of the ruling king is to give all protection to law-abiding persons and to chastise those who stray from the ordinances of the scriptures in ordinary times when there is no emergency. Nanu ekasya nigrahena anyasya anugrahe tava kim prayojanam. What do you have to gain by restraining this one person and by blessing others, by restraining one and blessing another? So this is pointed out. Notice this expression, anapati. When there is no dangerous situation, when there's no crisis, when there's no emergency. When there's no emergency, those who stray away from the ordinance of the scriptures, that is called anapad situation. There's apad dharma and there's nirapad dharma or anapad dharma. There are special rules on what to do during times of crisis. If I remember correctly, it is one part of one canto of Mahabharata, the whole description by Bhishma Dev to Yudhishthira Maharaj. In the scriptures, there is mention of apad dharma or occupational duty at times of extraordinary happiness. It is said that sometimes the great sage Vishwamitra had to live on the flesh of dogs in some extraordinary dangerous position. Once there was a drought for so many long period of time. And Vishwamitra was doing austerities. So he went walking, trying to find some food. And he was in a real life crisis. It comes in Mahabharata, if I remember correctly. Then he came across a dog eater's house. And he asked him, please give me some food. I need to survive. If I don't eat, I will die. Then he said that, that person said, but we eat the flesh of dogs. We are so low class. You seem to be a saint. Something, a conversation like this. And then he said, no, I need to survive. Just give me something to eat. So then he gave him the food that he is accustomed to eating. And the sage was eating that. And after he ate that, this person gave him some water to drink. Vishwamitra became very angry. Said, how dare you give me water? You're a dog eater. How can I drink the water from you? So then he said, but you ate dog flesh from me. So then Vishwamitra said, that is just to survive. Now I can survive. So now I cannot do anything which will contaminate me. I have to be very careful about it. So apad dharma is like walking on a thin rope. It is not that because it's a matter of crisis, I can do whatever I want. One has to be careful. In cases of emergency, one may be allowed to live on the flesh of animals of all description, but that does not mean that there should be regular slaughterhouses to feed the animal eaters, and that this system should not be encouraged by the state. No one should try to live on flesh in ordinary times, simply for the sake of the palate. If anyone does so, the king or the executive head should punish him for gross enjoyment. There are regular scriptural injunctions for different persons engaged in different occupational duties, and one who follows them is called swadharmastha, or faithful in one's prescribed duties. In the Bhagavad Gita 18.48, it is advised that one should not give up his occupational prescribed duties, even if they are not always flawless. Such swadharma might be violated in cases of emergency if one is forced by circumstances, but they cannot be violated in ordinary times. The state executive head is to see that such swadharma is not changed by the follower, whatever it may be. Not changed by the follower means the follower does not follow somebody else's swadharma. And he should give all protection to the follower of swadharma. The violator is subject to punishment in terms of the Shastra. And the duty of the king is to see that everyone strictly follows his occupational duty as prescribed in the scripture. So, after identifying the varnas according to the gunas, the next step is to ensure that the persons who have been identified as belonging to particular varnas should engage in the respective karma of each varna. The varnas are distinguished according to guna and karma. 17. Dharma vacha. Etadvah pandaveyanam yuktam arta bhayam vachaha. Yesham gunaganaih krishno dautyado bhagavan kritaha. The personality of religion said, these words, just spoken by you befit a person of the Pandava dynasty, captivated by the devotion qualities of the Pandavas. Even Lord Krishna, the personality of God, had performed duties as a messenger, meaning as a messenger, etc. The Baladev Vidyabhushan had noted in his commentary to the previous verse that the king's duty is to punish those according to scripture. The scriptures also specify how to punish. All those who are fixed in adharma, that means those who are transgressing the pathway of the Veda. And this is what Dharma was impressed by. Uchitameva, this is appropriate. You're just to the point. Krishnasya premaika vashyatvat tasya arjunasya pautratvam tatulya eva tavapi gunaihi adhina eva Krishna vartate. Lord Shri Krishna was under the loving control of Arjuna, and therefore he became his messenger and so on. You are his grandson, so you are also as good as him, and therefore Lord Krishna is always subordinate to you because of your loving attributes. Iti. Therefore, ashakyam kimapi nasti iti bhava. There is nothing impossible for you to accomplish. The assurances and challenges made by Maharaj Parikshit are never exaggerations of his real power. The Maharaj said that even the denizens of heaven could not escape his stringent government if they were violators of religious principles. He was not falsely proud. For a devotee of the Lord is equally as powerful as the Lord, or sometimes more powerful by his grace. More powerful by his grace, as exhibited by Hanuman. In Valmiki Ramayana, we see that Hanuman, he could burn up Lanka. He demonstrated that. Then why didn't Hanuman himself destroy everyone and bring back Mother Sita? There's a conversation between Hanuman and Sita Devi. And Mother Sita told him that, no, I want my husband to come and conquer over all these people and take me. So by Lord Ram's grace, Hanuman could jump over the ocean this side and come back by jumping over. But the rest of the army, they chose, Lord Ramachandra chose that they should just walk. That is one instance of sometimes more powerful by his grace. And any promise made by a devotee, even though it may be ordinarily very difficult to fulfill, is properly executed by the grace of the Lord. Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. In Bhagavad Gita also we find this. Lord Krishna, he orders Kaunteya, Arjuna, to promise that Krishna's devotees will not be vanquished. The Pandavas, by their unalloyed devotion, service, and full surrender unto the Lord, made it possible for the Lord to become a chariot driver, or sometimes their letter messenger. Such duties executed by the Lord for his devotee are always very pleasing to the Lord, because the Lord wants to render service to his unalloyed devotee, whose life has no other engagement than to serve the Lord with full love and devotion. Maharaj Parikshit, grandson of Arjuna, the celebrated friendly servitor of the Lord, was a pure devotee of the Lord like his grandfather. And therefore the Lord was always with him, even from the time when he was helplessly lying in the womb of his mother and was attacked by the blazing Brahmastra weapon of Ashwatthama. One thing we notice is Parikshit is always always glorified by describing him as a grandson of the Pandavas. Even though he is also described as the son of Abhimanyu, he is more glorified as the grandson of the Pandavas. So that culture is there, that whoever in your dynasty is most glorious, follow in their footsteps. Similarly, Bali Maharaj is compared favorably with Prahlad Maharaj. Bali Maharaj is referred to as a son of Virochana, but Bali Maharaj is glorified for being a follower of Prahlad Maharaj, his grandfather. A devotee is always under the protection of the Lord, and therefore the assurance of protection by Maharaj Parishit could never be without meaning. The personality of religion accepted this fact and thus thanked the king for his being true to his exalted position. 18. Now vayam klesha bijani yatasya purushashava purusham tam vijanimo vakya bheda vimohitaha. Vayam tu yatah purushat praninam klesha hetavah bhaveyuhu tam purusham na vijanimaha. Wait, let me read out the proper translation. O greatest among human beings, it is very difficult to ascertain the particular miscreant who has caused our sufferings because we are bewildered by all the different opinions of theoretical philosophers. You have asked this question, but we do not know the causes for the distresses of the living creatures. We do not know exactly which man is the cause for the distresses of the living creatures. Yataha vadina vakya bhedai vimohita, because we are bewildered by the differing opinions of different advocates of thought. Tatra साक्षात् हिंसा कर्तृगतः प्रश्नः अयम् इति ज्ञात्वा अपि सूचकता न युक्ता इति तस्यापि गौणत्वं मत्वा तत्प्रयोजक कर्तृगतत्वेन सिद्धान्तयन्नपि अनिर्धारितम् इव. Here the question was about that person who was the immediate cause of injury. Despite knowing this, the bull considered it is not appropriate to point fingers at anyone. And therefore, he points out that even the conclusions about who could be that cause is not ascertained. So in 3 verses, the bull speaks about this. Vayam Ishwaravadinaha ye cha vakya bheda vimohitaha te sarve pitam purusham ishwaram na vijanimaha sarva agocharatva. We are advocates of God as the cause of everything. And we are bewildered by various statements made by various philosophers. So all of us, we do not know that person, the supreme person, because he is beyond the range of everyone. Yatah purushat klesha bijani syuhu tam purusham vayam ajanima. We do not know that purusha, that soul, from whom there are seeds of distress. Anu katham evam apalapasi tat kleshadayi purushaya maya drishyate eva. But the bull anticipated that Parikshit might say, what is this nonsense that you are speaking? Here is the person who is giving you distress. And I can see it myself. Satyam, that's true. Aso mama kleshadaha. He is giving me distress. Kintu mama kleshasya bijam kinchit avashyam bhavishyati. But there must be a certain seed for my distress. Yataha ayam mamayeva kleshada nanyasya, because he is giving distress only to me and not to somebody else. Ataha klesha bijam yataha bhavati tam purusham na janimaha iti arthaha. So we do not know that soul, because of whom there is the seed of distress. Nanu shastra gya yuyam katham na janita. Then the bull anticipates that the king would ask, you know the scriptures, the Vedic scriptures. How come you don't know? Satyam, that's true. Bahushastra jnanam eva tat anirdhare karanam. The reason for the non-ascertainment of the perpetrator, the cause of the seed of distress, is because of knowledge of many scriptures. Vadina vakya vedir vimohita. Asmat shudra asmakam klesheva. From this shudra, we are experiencing klesha, distress. That is for sure. Tad bijani yasmat tatu anya. But the seeds because of which we are experiencing this distress are caused by somebody else. Tamna vidma. We don't know that. No shuya. Yuya. Agyayuyam. Despite uh, the bull representing many learned persons, still, because of being bewildered by various theoretical philosophers, the bull says, we don't know. There are many theoretical philosophers in the world who put forward their own theories of cause and effect, especially about the cause of suffering and its effect on different living beings. Generally, there are 6 great philosophers. Kanada, the author of Vaisheshika philosophy; Gautama, the author of logic, Nyaya; Patanjali, the author of mystic yoga, philosophy called Yoga Darshana; Kapila, the author of Sankhya philosophy, the atheistic Kapila, who presented Nirishwara Sankhya, atheistic Sankhya; Jainini, the author of Karma Mimamsa Sutra; and Vyasadeva, the author of Vedanta Darshan. These are specific treatises. All of them officially accept the validity of Shruti. Astika Darshana, this is the technical expression. Then there are also Nastika Darshana, ideologies which are opposed to Vedic teachings. Although the bull, or the personality of religion, the cow, the personality of the earth, knew perfectly well that the personality of Kali was a direct cause of their suffering, still, as devotees of the Lord, they knew well also that without the sanction of the Lord, what is this? About to finish. Although the bull, or the personality of religion, and the cow, the personality of the earth, knew perfectly well that the personality of Kali was the direct cause of their suffering, still, as devotees of the Lord, they knew well also that without the sanction of the Lord, no one could inflict trouble upon them. According to the Padma Purana, our present trouble is due to the fructifying of seedling sins. But even those seedling sins also gradually fade away by execution of pure devotional service. Okay. State of confusion, because my computer data is a little bit spread out here and there. Let me see if I can trace it. Important point actually. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Kleshastu Papam Tad Bijam Avidya Chetite Tritha. Suffering is threefold: sinful reaction, Papa, the seed of sin, Papa Bija, and ignorance, Avidya. So here the discussion is about who is the cause of the seeds of sin, not who is the cause of the sinful reaction. That is the cause of avidya, ignorance. There is a cause of Papa Bija, the seed of sin, and there is a cause of Papa. So the cause of sinful reaction may be some person who may be attacking you or whatever. But then if you go further to analyze who caused the seed of sin and who caused ignorance, that is a different discussion. So Prabhupada is bringing that up here. And then he quotes Padma Purana. This. Sinful reaction itself is of prarabdha and aprarabdha type. This is the verse that Prabhupada has in mind. Aprarabdha phalam papam kutam bijam phalomukam kramena eva praliyeta Vishnu bhakti ratatmanam. For those whose hearts rejoice in Vishnu bhakti, the sins, be they aprarabdha, kuta, bija or prarabdha, are destroyed step by step. And this is Prabhupada. It is stated in the Padma Purana that there are 4 kinds of effects due to sinful activities, which are listed as follows: the effect which is not yet fructified, the effect which is lying as seed, the effect which is already mature, and the effect which is almost mature. It is also stated that all these 4 effects become immediately vanquished for those who surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu and become engaged in his devotional service in full Krishna consciousness. According to the Padma Purana, our present trouble is due to the fructifying of seedling sins. But even those seedling sins also gradually fade away by execution of pure devotional service. Thus, even if the devotees see the mischief mongers, they do not accuse them for the sufferings inflicted. They take it for granted that the mischief monger is made to act by some indirect cause, and therefore they tolerate the sufferings, thinking them to be God given in small doses, for otherwise the sufferings should have been greater. What is full Krishna consciousness? Full Krishna consciousness means when one becomes a pure, when one, in this context, it refers to one who's engaged in pure sadhana bhakti, uttama sadhana bhakti. Maharaj Parikshit wanted to get a statement of accusation against the direct mischief monger, but they declined to give it on the above mentioned grounds. Speculative philosophers, however, do not recognize the sanction of the Lord. They try to find out the cause of sufferings in their own way, as will be described in the following verses. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, such speculators are themselves bewildered, and thus they cannot know that the ultimate cause of all causes is the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead. Okay, I'll stop with this. Namo